Hello students, in the last video we discussed chapter 3 of the famous story The Key by Satyajit Ray. Today we are going to start with chapter 4 of the same story. But yes, before starting that chapter, let's have a quick recap of the story so far. What has happened in chapter 3? In chapter 3, Feluda investigates Radharaman's papers to find out clues about the mysterious key and also its link to the Samadar family. And these papers are actually cash memos, catalogue of instruments, musical notations, and yes, very important, press reviews of Sanjay Lahiri's plays. He also finds out that Dharnidhar is actually Sanjay Lahiri, who is Radharaman's estranged grandson. He also learns from a theatre that Sanjay Lahiri works for one troupe, that is modern opera, which is in Jalpaiguri for a week. And being a very curious detective, Feluda investigates further and he actually visits the National Museum to find out more about the musical instruments, searching for clues about that rare instrument, melochord. Also, he buys books on music and obtains Sanjay Lahiri's photograph to identify his stature and his role in the story from Manchalok's office. This is all that we have read in chapter 3, and yes, as we move ahead to chapter 4, we are slowly inching towards finding the mystery related to this chapter, that is the key. Early call and burglary report. Mr. Samadar informs Feluda about a burglary attempt at his late uncle Radharaman's house in Bamungachi. Abani Sen rang from Bamungachi. Someone broke into my uncle's room last night, he said. Does anyone else know how to operate that German lock? Feluda asked at once. Dharni used to know. I'm not sure about Abani Babu. No, I don't think he knows. But whoever broke in didn't use that door at all. He went in through the small outer door to the bathroom. But that door was bolted from inside. I saw that myself. Maybe someone opened it after we left. Anyway, the good news is that he couldn't take anything. Anukul came to know almost as soon as he got into the house and raised an alarm. Look, are you free now? Do you think you could go back to the house with me? Photo alteration. Feluda alters a photograph of Sanjay Lahiri or Dharani to resemble Dasgupta. Mr. Samadar confirms the resemblance, strengthening the theory the intruder could be Dharnidhar, Radharaman's estranged grandson, possibly disguised as Surajit Dasgupta. But tell me something, if you now saw Radharaman's grandson Dharni, do you think you could recognize him? Mr. Samadar frowned. Well, I haven't seen him for years, but yes, I think I could. Feluda went off to fetch the photo of Sanjay Lahiri. When he handed it over to Mr. Samadar, I saw that he had drawn a long moustache on Sanjay's face and added a pair of glasses with a heavy frame. Mr. Samadar gave a start. Why? He exclaimed, this looks like Surajit Dasgupta. Yes, but perhaps the nose is not quite the same. Anyway, there is a resemblance. The photo is of your cousin Murlidhar's son. I only added a couple of things just to make it more interesting. It's amazing. Actually, I did find it strange when Dasgupta walked in yesterday. In fact, I wanted to ring you last night and tell you, but I got delayed at the press. We were working overtime, you see, but then I wasn't absolutely sure. I hadn't seen Dharni for 15 years, not even on the stage. I'm not interested in the theatre at all. If what you're suggesting is true, Feluda interrupted him. If what I'm suggesting is true, we have to prove two things. One, that Surajit Dasgupta doesn't exist in real life at all. And two, that Sanjay Lahiri left his group and returned to Calcutta a few days before your uncle's death. Topshe, get the number of Minerva Hotel, please. The hotel informed us that a Surajit Dasgupta had indeed been staying there, but had checked out the day before. There was no point in calling the modern opera, for they had already told us Sanjay Lahiri was out of town. House inspection. At Bamungachi, Feluda examines the surroundings. On reaching Bamungachi, Feluda inspected the house from outside, following the compound wall. Whoever came must have had to come in a car, park it at some distance and walk the rest of the way. Then he must have jumped over the wall. This couldn't have been very difficult, for there were trees everywhere, their overgrown branches leaning over the compound wall, the ground being totally dry. There were no footprints anywhere. Anukul's testimony. Anukul recounts seeing a light in Radharaman's room and a figure escaping, but couldn't identify the person due to poor visibility. We then went to find Anukul. He wasn't feeling well and was resting in his room. What he told us with some difficulty was this: mosquitoes and an aching head had kept him awake last night. He could see the window of Radharaman's bedroom from where he lay, when he suddenly saw a light flickering in the room. He rose quickly and shouted, "Who is there?" But before he could actually get to the room, he saw a figure slip out of the small side door to the bathroom and disappear in the dark. Anukul spent what was left of the night lying on the floor of his master's bedroom. "I don't suppose you could recognize the fellow?" Mr. Samadar asked. "No, sir, I am an old man, sir, and I can't see all that well. Besides, it was a moonless night." Upon visiting Radharaman's house, Feluda observes the area where the intruder might have entered and plans to guard the house with police constables. Radharaman's bedroom appeared quite unharmed. Nothing seemed to have been touched. Even so, Feluda's face looked grim. "Moni Babu," he said, "you'll have to inform the police. This house must be guarded from tonight. The intruder may well come back. Even if Surajit Das Gupta is not Sanjay Lahiri, he is our prime suspect. Some collectors are strangely determined. They'll do anything to get what they want. I'll ring the police from next door. I happen to know the OC," said Mr. Samadar and went out of the room busily. Feluda examines the melochord, a musical instrument, and suspects it might hold a clue due to its sturdy design and high value. Feluda picked up the melochord and began inspecting it closely. It was a sturdy little instrument. There were 2 panels on it, both beautifully engraved. Feluda turned it over and discovered an old and faded label. "Spiegler," he said. "Made in Germany, not England." Then he began playing it. Although he was no expert, the sound that filled the room was sweet and soothing. "I wish I could break it open and see what's inside," he said, putting it back on the table. "And obviously I can't do that. The chances are that I would find nothing and the instrument would be totally destroyed. Das Gupta was prepared to pay 1,000 rupees for it, imagine." Radharaman's secrecy. The fact that he was secretive about his money and only a select few knew about it makes Dharni's knowledge suspicious. Mr. Samadar suspects that the intruder could be Dharnidhar, Radharaman's estranged grandson, who might have returned under the alias Surajit Das Gupta. "Well, tell me, Moni Babu, who apart from yourself knew about Radharaman's habit of hiding all his money?" "Frankly, Mr. Mitter, I realized the money was hidden only after his death. Abani Babu next door is aware that we are looking for my uncle's money, but I am sure he hasn't any idea about the amount involved. If it was Dharni who came here disguised as Das Gupta, he may have learned something that morning before my uncle died. In fact, I am convinced Dharni had come only to ask for money. Then they must have had a row and..." Mr. Samadar broke off. Feluda looked at him steadily and said, "And as a result of this row, your uncle had a heart attack? But that didn't stop Dharni. He searched the room before he left. Isn't that what you are thinking?" Feluda hints that the melochord holds significant importance. This passage shows Feluda's unwavering confidence and methodical approach to problem solving even when others waver in certainty. The repeated reference to key intertwines with the mystery, subtly emphasizing its potential significance, whether literal or metaphorical. Yes, but I know he didn't find any money. If he had, he wouldn't have returned posing as Surajit Dasgupta, right? Right. Perhaps something made him think the money was hidden in one of those two instruments, the melochord. Mr. Samadar gave Feluda a sharp glance. Do you really think so? That's what my instincts are telling me. But I don't like taking shots in the dark. Besides, I can't forget your uncle's last words. He did use the word key, didn't he? You're certain about that? Mr. Samadar began to look unsure. I don't know. That's what it sounded like, he faltered, rubbing his hands in embarrassment. Or it could be that my uncle was talking pure nonsense. It could have been delirium, couldn't it? Maybe the word key has no significance at all? Feluda pieces together the significance of Radharaman's cryptic last words, key, key. I felt a sudden stab of disappointment at these words, but Feluda remained unruffled. Delirium or not, there is money in this room, he said. I can smell it. Finding a key is not really important. We have got to find the money. How? What do you propose to do? Just at this moment, I would like to go back home. Please tell Anukul not to worry. I don't think anyone will try to break in during the day. All he needs to do is not let any stranger into the house. There will be those police constables at night. I must go back and think very hard. I can see a glimmer of light, but unless that grows brighter, there is nothing much I can do. May I please spend the night here? Mr. Samadar looked faintly surprised at this question, but he said immediately, yes, of course, if that's what you want. Feluda's methodical questioning and logical deductions shine through in these investigative exchanges. His attention to detail and sharp reasoning make him such a compelling detective character. All right, thank you, Moni Babu. First of all, my boy, write down the name of the dead man. Feluda was back in his room, sitting on his bed. I was sitting in a chair next to him, a notebook on my lap and a pen in my hand. Radharaman Samadar, I wrote. What's his grandson called? Dharnidhar Samadar. And the name he uses on the stage? Sanjay Lahiri. What's the name of the collector of musical instrument who lives in Dehradun? Surajit Dasgupta. Who is Radharaman's neighbor? Abani Sen. And his son, Sadhan. What were Radharaman's last words? In my name, ki, ki. What are the 8 notes in the sargam? Sare, Gama, Padha, Nisa. Very well. Now go away and don't disturb me. Shut the door as you go. I'm going to work now. Feluda then calls a heart specialist who has attended Radharaman before his death, and he also calls the Eureka Press. Hello, can I speak to Dr. Chintamani Bose, please? Feluda was calling the heart specialist who had accompanied Mr. Samadar the day Radharaman died. I returned to the living room, my curiosity satisfied. 10 minutes later, there was a sound of dialing again. I rose once more and listened at the door. Eureka Press, who is speaking? This time, Feluda was calling Mr. Samadar's press. This passage captures the quintessential Feluda charm, his brilliance shining through his cryptic musings and enigmatic clues. The clues, Sadha Nisani and Melochord, are intriguing. They suggest a connection to music, perhaps even a cipher or a hidden message tied to musical notes. My head's reeling, Topshe, he exclaimed, a note of suppressed excitement in his voice. Who knew it would take me so long to work out the meaning of a few words spoken by a very old man at his deathbed? In reply, I could only stare dumbly at Feluda. What he had just said made no sense to me, but I could see that his face looked different. which could simply mean that the light he had seen earlier was now much stronger than a glimmer. Sadha Nisani, notes from the Sargam. Does that tell you anything? No, Feluda, I have no idea what you're talking about. Good, if you could catch my drift, one would have had to assume your level of intelligence was as high as fellow Mitters. Feluda's urgency and the hint of risk add to the mounting tension, leaving Topshe and the readers eager for the big revelation. Feluda calls Mr. Samadar and prepares to return to Bamungachi for further investigation, determined to solve the mystery. Feluda threw his cigarette away and picked up the telephone once again. Hello, Mr. Samadar. Can you come over at once? Yes, we have to go to Bamungachi as soon as we can. I think I finally got the answer. Yes, Melocord, that's the important thing to remember. Then he replaced the receiver and said seriously, there is a risk involved, Topshe, but I have got to take it. There is no other choice. Now we would identify certain elements of mystery in this story. So we'll talk about plot twist and also some enigmatic characters in this particular chapter. So if we talk about plot twist, we have a theft without gain. Somebody has actually broken into the house but nothing has been stolen. So it is quite intriguing and mysterious. Then there are certain family secrets related to Dharni and his grandfather. That is also intriguing. Then the hidden identity of Dharni, Sanjay Lahiri and Surajit Dasgupta is quite complicated. Finally, the Melocord, the main instrument that holds a clue to solving this story. So this adds to some twist in the plot. Now moving ahead with enigmatic characters, if we look at Dharnidhar, he is the estranged grandson of Radharaman, but still Radharaman has some soft corner for his grandson. Again, Surajit Dasgupta, he is also a shady character and his identity is quite mysterious. Then we have Moni Mohan Samadar. He is helpful, but his sudden doubts towards the end of the chapter related to Radharaman's last words actually create certain uncertainty and dubiousness to this character. I'm sure students, you must be enjoying reading this story, and yes, only one chapter is left and we are going to definitely solve this story. But till then, you can make inferences and predictions related to the chapter, and yes, I have the most important task for you. You have to identify certain elements of mystery in this chapter, and the most important question, do you think Feluda will finally solve the mystery in Bamungachi this time? Explain with reasons and keep making predictions. Who is the culprit and what is that key that everybody is looking forward to? So till then, happy learning. Have a great time.